Infinity is Somewhere presents Fleeting Warmth. The news had been on a low hum for weeks, going on about a new scientific anomaly that most people, myself included, had either disregarded as another doomsday scenario or moved it to the back of their minds. We've all been here before, the sensational news of one thing or another. This time it was something about solar flares, unusual activity. Nothing to worry about is what they told anyone who would listen. But was that true? Or did they simply not want people to panic prematurely? There was nothing to worry about, they said. And then it was. I was in the garden, the late afternoon sun warm on my face. The scent of blooming lavender was thick in the air. I had started on the garden I had kept putting off. Had to stop misplacing trust in future me. The neighborhood kids were outside making the most of a beautiful day after a winter that seemed to last forever. It's always nice to hear the kids playing outside instead of being stuck inside, faces glued to screens. After a while of reflecting on his own childhood, he was startled by a sudden feeling of an odd stillness. Kinda like the feeling when you're in your home and the electricity is cut off, but more ominous. More heavy, more silent. I instinctively looked up in the sun. It wasn't gone exactly, but it was different, dimmer, a pale imitation of its usual fiery self. A chill snaked down my spine, a primal fear that I couldn't explain. Although I was outside, I could hear the news was in chaos, loud, panicked voices, then a broadcaster, her voice trembling, fumbling over the words she was supposed to say. The look of dread was displayed all on her face. She was covered in sweat, eyes puffy and red from where she was crying off camera. Whatever the news was in fact bad. Composing herself, saying she would stay with us until she can no longer broadcast, she gathered herself and began confirming the impossible. The sun, our life force, the thing we always believed to be a constant, had cooled. It had not blown up in a massive explosion. It had not expanded, engulfing the planets within it. From what I heard, I don't recall the exact words, but it was something along the lines of the energy of the sun had simply dissipated. Their working theory. Scientists had no real explanation. There was no plan. There was only confusion and terror. And because of the vast emptiness between us and the now very dim sun, we had 8 minutes and 25 seconds of sunlight left. The news anchor reported that after a week with no sun, the temperature would settle around 32 degrees Fahrenheit before falling to negative 100 degrees after the first year. Something about photosynthesis and trees that sounded fairly important. Turns out scientists had tossed around the idea of this as a thought experiment for decades. But all I could think of was 8 minutes of blissful ignorance before the darkness, before the cold, before the utter devastation reaches us. A wave of nausea washed over me, and I repeated the time again. 8 minutes and a few seconds. What would you do with so little time left while the world is ending? I thought of calling my sister, but what would I say? Tell her the sun's gone out and that I'd see her in the void? That everything would be okay? It felt absurd, but the thought didn't have to last long as my phone started going off on the kitchen island. It was my sister. I rushed to answer. Then I hear her panicked voice, sobbing, looking for answers, looking for hope even though it was fleeting. The best thing I could offer was they mentioned the world would not end immediately. But from what they claimed would happen, it would for the lucky ones. She doesn't live that far away, but I cannot imagine a road being a place that I want to drive on at the moment. I promised and I swore to her that I will be there as soon as I could. After hanging up the phone, a large knot formed in my throat while trying not to have a panic attack, trying to focus. My phone continued going off from a mixture of phone calls, group chat messages, and text messages. I wasn't interested in any, but I told the group chat that I was alive before tossing the phone onto the couch and walking away. I thought there would be a lot more chaos right now. Sirens blaring, people rushing through the streets screaming bloody murder, conspiracy theorists shouting how they were always right. But what good would any of it do? This isn't a storm you can hunker down and ride out. This isn't a war-torn area you can flee from. Back outside, the sky was losing its vibrant blue, bleeding into a bruised purple. People were starting to emerge from their houses, faces etched with confusion and dawning terror, as a child down the street pointed at the sky and asked questions that no one could answer. "Did you hear what they said on the news? Do you think that is true?" asked my neighbor, Miss Tuesday. I just pointed at the sky that everyone else was looking at. There was nothing I could think to say. I noticed people rushing to their cars with various forms of bags and luggage, some with nothing but their clothes on their backs, speeding out of their driveways or wherever they parked and racing down the road. As the day gets dimmer, the air gets heavier. The voices of unrest and panic begin to become louder. Where are these people going? Samson wonders as he continues to stand, avoiding packing and rushing the family. He imagines that's likely what all these people are doing. There is no spaceship waiting to take us away like in the movies, Samson mumbles to himself and lightly chuckles. The warmth on my skin was fading, replaced by the creeping cold that felt unnatural for what I knew should be a sunny afternoon. Birds chirped nervously, their songs losing their cheerful melody as they also fell silent. I wonder if they're also rushing to spend time with their loved ones. I sat on the porch swing, people watching, ignoring the phone vibrating frantically in the house. The gentle rocking was a small comfort in the face of unimaginable horror. I closed my eyes, trying to conjure up memories of warmth, of light, of life as it had been just moments ago. A neighbor's dog howled in the distance, a mournful sound that echoed the fear in my own heart. I could hear the murmur of voices around me, hushed and desperate, the laughter of the children who were once the happiest you have ever seen a few moments ago. Gone. They were rushed inside the house or into a waiting car to be whisked away. I overhear the news broadcast again. Lucky for us, we will at least keep electricity for a time. How long is unknown at the moment. There is still panic and a tinge of regret in their trembling voices. I do not envy her or anyone who has the job of delivering this news. I can imagine they'd rather be home around loved ones. Opening my eyes, I see a group of people. Must have been around 10, a few houses down having a party. The music is very loud and so are their voices. Having an end of the world party. I should venture down and grab a drink. As the last vestiges of sunlight began fading, it was leaving behind an eerie, grayish hue. The temperature had also dropped noticeably. I wrapped my arms around myself, shivering despite the layers I was wearing. The world went dark. Not the soft darkness of night, but an absolute, suffocating blackness that swallowed everything. The air turned bitingly cold. A deep, penetrating chill that went straight to the bone. A collective gasp from the neighbors, followed by cries of fear and confusion. I bet no one is making fun of a doomsday prepper right now. How I wish I was one of them with a full bunker nearby. The amount of times I laughed while watching, audibly saying, who would need any of what they're showing? Joke's on me. Samson sat on the porch swing, enveloped in the sudden, profound darkness and the rapidly dropping temperature, the silence only broken by the sounds of human fear and panicked animals, paralyzed into inaction, swinging in the cold air, holding tightly to the way the sun felt on his skin earlier, regretting all the time spent bed rotting, doom scrolling social media instead of appreciating what was around him more. With time being so limited now, he seems to have a lot to offer to others. Suddenly, his quote-unquote busy schedule is wide open. The 8 minutes were gone. The world we knew walked away with it and also left us with something we did not know. Like a parent leaving their child with a stranger and saying, "This is your new mommy." The world we knew was over, and all I could think of was how quickly the light had gone out and how utterly unprepared we all were for the darkness that followed.